Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shereen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you tonight. The stock markets end the week with minor gains, but mid-caps continue to outperform with the index closing at a record high. Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai says market internals remain strong, describes the month of May as marvellous. S. Narain believes India is the best structural story, but the challenge is to decide what kind of premium one should pay. Less than a week to go for the RBI policy. CNBC-TV18 Citizens Monetary Policy Committee votes unanimously for a status quo, but the panel is divided on when rate cuts will begin. Only 2 members of the 5-member committee expect a rate cut in 2023. Crisis hit Go First submits a revival plan to the aviation regulator, proposes to start operations with 26 aircraft operating over 150 daily flights. The DGCA is likely to decide on the proposal next week. Strong demand for the Coal India shares as the offer for sale draws to a close. DPAM Secretary says proceeds will cross 4,000 crore rupees in an exclusive interview to CNBC-TV18. The United States averts what could have been its first ever debt default. The U.S. Congress clears the bill to suspend the debt ceiling for 2 years. President Joe Biden will sign the bill into law today. Facebook parent Meta asks employees to work from the company's offices at least twice a week from September. This will not impact those designated as remote employees. The U.S. drug regulator issues an import alert on drugs manufactured at Intas Pharma's Ahmedabad plant. The regulator issues 11 observations in January, including issues ranging from inadequate documentation to microbiological contamination. InfoEdge initiates a forensic audit into Rahul Yadav-backed prop tech startup Broker Network. Says the company is not providing details of financial transactions, even though it is contractually obligated to do so. InfoEdge writes down its 280 crore rupee investment. The Law Commission of India recommends retaining the Sedition law with changes due to internal security threats, recommends extending the maximum jail term from 3 to 7 years, also asks the centre to issue model guidelines to curb misuse. The 2 FIRs against the Wrestling Federation chief Brij Bhushan Singh detail at least 10 incidents of alleged molestation, 15 incidents of sexual harassment and 2 instances of demanding sexual favours to support the careers of athletes. The incidents allegedly took place between 2012 to 2022. Amidst growing demands for his arrest, Singh postpones his proposed rally in Ayodhya. Also on the show, the government has pledged to ensure running tap water in every household by 2024, but depleted groundwater levels in drought-prone villages make the Jal Jeevan mission an uphill task. A special report from Maharashtra's Chandrapur village. Well, a range-bound session sees the benchmark indices closing the day and the week with minor gains. Mid-caps, though, continue to outperform, the mid-cap index ending at a record closing high. Now, Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai says market internals appear to be strong and has described the month of May as marvellous. In a new note, Desai said FPIs have turned net buyers in May and market breadth remains steady. S. Narain of ICICI Prudential believes India is the best structural story with strong macros. The challenge is to decide what kind of premium one should pay. Narain has identified financials and power as his top picks.
So, for us, both financials and power are 2 sectors where we find, again, more comfort because valuations are very comfortable in financials. Of course, there is a problem that margins in financials have been high. That is, net interest margins have been high and NPLs have been at record lows. So those are 2 small problems that things have been very, very good. But otherwise, I would say at least the valuations are very, very reasonable in the context of the past. And that's why if you see our published portfolios, you'll see different new age stocks also in the portfolio, whereas just after listing at some point of time, we didn't have them.
Well, from the markets now to Mint Street. With less than a week to go for the RBI policy, the CNBC-TV18 Citizens Monetary Policy Committee has voted unanimously for a status quo. But the panel is divided on when rate cuts will begin. Only 2 members of the 5-member committee expect a rate cut in 2023. Let's take a look.
Will the MPC hike, cut or pause on June 8th? Samiran, I start with you. What will they do?
I think it's a pause.
Pause. Soumya?
It's a pause.
Okay. That's 2 votes. Sajid?
I think it's a pause.
Pause. Sonal?
Pause.
Pause. Okay. Chairman, 4 pauses. What about you, sir?
Pause. 5 pauses.
Okay. All right. The chair pauses. So that's a 5-0 in favor of a pause. That'll be a relief for the market. Stance will be more important. Current stance. Will MPC retain stance at withdrawal of accommodation or change? So, Shamiran.
A marginal call, but I will probably side with retain.
Retain this. Okay. Unchanged stance.
Stance will be unchanged.
Unchanged stance. Okay. Sajid?
A retain stance, though you can soften the language a bit, but retain the stance.
Okay. Retain stance. Sonal?
Retain stance.
Yeah. You argued that very strongly. Dr. Sen?
Well, I would argue they should change. So I would have said neutral, but I suspect what they will actually do is retain the stance.
Oh, okay. So we'll go with neutral since that's your vote. And you've been holding that from the time of the last cut, of the last hike. Yes. The final question, and I want to squeeze this in. When do you see the first rate cut, Samiran? Because the market is looking for one.
Well, our sense is it's still somewhat down the line, not immediate, and it will obviously be extremely data dependent, not just domestic data, but as well as global data.
So I'll put it as data dependent.
I think it's far away. It's completely data dependent. So not as of now.
Okay, so not as of now. Sajid?
Again, very data dependent, not as of now, but based on baseline, nothing before the end of this year, December at the earliest, but very data dependent.
December. Oh, that's important. December. Sonal?
Earlier than expected. I think the growth, as I argued, will disappoint. So we think it'll be October.
October. Oh, good. Market will be very happy with you. Dr. Sen?
Well, data dependent, obviously, but I don't think from what indications we have, it's going to be within this calendar year, which means I'm more or less with Sajid.
Okay.
Well, that's the verdict of the Citizens Monetary Policy Committee, the CNBC-TV18 MPC, but the MPC will reveal its cards on the 8th of June. Now, the U.S. has averted what could have been its first debt default. The U.S. Senate has passed the bipartisan legislation that raises the government's $31 trillion debt ceiling for 2 years. President Biden will sign the bill into law today. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that America can now breathe a sigh of relief. Commodity market action where crude oil prices surged as markets weighed the likelihood of a price-supportive OPEC plus production cut over the weekend. And moving to gold, prices surging there too this week, helping the yellow metal clock its biggest weekly gain in 2 months. This after a softer dollar and hopes for a pause in the Federal Reserve's tightening campaign bolstered the bullion's appeal. Now, the government's offer for sale in Coal India got oversubscribed more than 4 times at the end of day 2. The total subscription for the retail portion stands at 1.4 times, while that of the non-retail portion stands at 2.7 times. The government plans to offload 3% stake, including the green shoe option of 1.5%. DPAM Secretary Tuhin Kanta Pandey told CNBC-TV18 in an exclusive interview that the proceeds from the sale will cross the 4,000 crore rupee mark. He also spoke about the IDBI Bank stake sale and the potential disinvestment of stake in Hindustan Zinc.
Coal India OFS has done well. We had the first day yesterday for QIBs and we got 3.46 times the subscription. And today it's also has gone well. The forecasts are on the upside. Despite the headwinds, I think Indian economy is doing better. And CapEx also there has been a good upcycle, particularly on government spending on CapEx has gone up well. So I think overall the market situation looks all right. IDBI Bank is, as we say, we are fit and proper, sort of test which they have to undergo for the people who have been qualified. They have to be further qualified by the RBI in terms of the fit and proper tests, and following which, there will be a due diligence. So that's proceeding well. Well, I think on SZL, you know about the government stand, and well, that's something which is actually now a thing of, I would say, past. Going forward, I think we will continue our the goal of how we can also come out of the residual in a certain calibrated manner.
Well, that's the DPAM secretary. Now, Go First revival might be closer. Sources say the airline has submitted its relaunch plan to the aviation regulator. We learned the airline expects to open bookings in a week and start flying in 2 weeks, subject to approval from the DGCA and Committee of Creditors. Madiha standing by with more details. Madiha, take us through the contours of the revival plan that's now been submitted to the regulator.
Well, getting a go-ahead from the DGCA and the Committee of Creditors is key for Go First to restart operations. It will need the DGCA to approve its relaunch plan and Committee of Creditors to approve its business plan. Here's what sources have told us. The airline submitted its relaunch plan to the aviation regulator early this week. We learned the airline has provided a flight schedule till 28th of October. It plans to start operations with 26 aircraft that it had before being grounded. The airline is likely to operate more than 150 flights every day. Now, sources say that the lenders are likely to fund the airline's relaunch operations until it starts generating its own working capital. The airline is hoping to start selling tickets within 1 week and start flying within the next 2 weeks, provided the DGCA approves its relaunch plan and Committee of Creditors approves its business plan next week. Now, after the approvals are in place, Go First plans to begin with the most profitable routes, which is Mumbai-Delhi, Mumbai-Srinagar, Delhi-Srinagar, Delhi-Leh, Delhi-Ahmedabad, Mumbai-Ahmedabad and Mumbai-Bangalore. Now, until the airline has clarity on a relaunch date, it is likely to extend the flight cancellations. Remember, it had cancelled flights till the 4th of June, so that date might be extended by a few more days.
All right, Madiha, many thanks for joining us. We will, of course, have to see what Go Air does about funding. Appreciate you joining us. Indigo is expanding its wings in the international market. The airline will fly to 6 new destinations, including Jakarta in Indonesia, Nairobi in Kenya, and Baku in Azerbaijan. With this, Indigo's global connectivity will go up from 26 to 32 destinations. Market regulator SEBI has extended time to submit public comments on its consultation paper on mutual fund expense ratios to the 8th of June. SEBI had proposed a uniform total expense ratio for all mutual fund schemes, which could impact revenues of AMCs. The proposal aims at increasing transparency in the fees charged by mutual funds. Former MasterCard CEO Ajay Banga is set to begin his 5-year term as the president of World Bank. He succeeds David Malpass. Banga will be the first Indian origin president to head the global financial institution. He was previously on the boards of the American Red Cross, Kraft Foods and Dow Inc. Facebook parent Meta has asked its employees to work from the company's offices at least thrice a week from September. Reports say the rule will not apply to employees designated as remote workers. The tech giant has said that returning to office will support collaboration and foster a conducive work culture. The U.S. drug regulator has placed Intas Pharma's Ahmedabad plant on an import alert. Now, this means that the U.S. will not import certain products from the plant till the alert is in place. Ekta joins us now with the latest. Ekta, take us through the concerns and objections raised.
Intas Pharma's Ahmedabad plant has been placed under import alert by the U.S. drug regulator. The private company, which is also headquartered in Gujarat, had its plant inspected by the U.S. drug regulator late last year. The inspection, which lasted from 22nd November to 2nd December, concluded with the U.S. drug regulator issuing 11 observations to the facility. The import alert for this facility, which manufactures complex drugs such as injectables, does not, however, come as a surprise. 3 U.S. drug inspectors who had inspected the plant for close to 2 weeks pointed out glaring gaps in the running of the plant in their 36-page Form 483. Issues highlighted range from integrity of data, one of what is considered to be the most severe lapses, to inadequate documentation practices, test methods and procedures to prevent microbiological contamination. The US FDA, in fact, said there was a cascade of failure in the quality unit's lack of oversight on the control and management of good manufacturing practice documents, which are critical in ensuring the drugs manufactured are safe and effective. This is not the first run-in with the US FDA for Intas. In 2017, the company's biotech unit in Moriah was issued 14 observations. The lapses there too pointed out inadequacies in procedures, documentation as well. Experts say since the import alert involves data integrity issues, then it might take time for the company to remediate the facility, which is likely to involve hiring a third-party consultant as well. Interestingly, however, over 20 products have been exempted from the facility. That means the company can still manufacture and supply these drugs to the US FDA, likely with conditions such as batch-by-batch approval by the drug regulator. The reason for the exemption of these drugs is likely due to the shortage of drugs in the US, which is currently at a 5-year high.
Ekta, many thanks. Let's stay with the pharma space. The Pharma Export Promotion Council of India has issued a show-cause notice to Gujarat-based Indiana Ophthalmics for allegedly exporting contaminated eye drops to the Sri Lankan market. The drops had allegedly caused eye infections in 30 people in Sri Lanka. The National Human Rights Commission issues notices to the Union Health Ministry and Food Safety Regulator over production of spurious vitamins, syrups and drugs in the name of food supplements. The notice pertains to a media report on the Baddi industrial area of Solan in Himachal, where more than 100 companies are allegedly manufacturing spurious vitamins and other supplements. The Commission has said if the reports are true, it is a serious issue relating to the right to life of people due to an apparent lack of coordination and apathy on the part of government departments. Housing.com founder Rahul Yadav's 4B Networks is facing the heat from its majority shareholder InfoEdge. InfoEdge has initiated a forensic audit against the prop-tech startup after it allegedly failed to provide details of financial transactions when asked. Shruti Mishra is standing by with the details. Shruti, Rahul Yadav facing the heat once again.
Yes, InfoEdge has initiated a forensic audit into Rahul Yadav's second startup 4B Networks. Now, this comes after it marked down the value of its invested stake in 4B Networks to zero in February this year. In 2022, InfoEdge's subsidiary All Check Deals India invested 288 crore rupees and became its biggest investor with a controlling stake. InfoEdge says it has initiated the forensic audit after 4B Networks had failed to give it details of where it had spent the money. InfoEdge has sought information including details and particulars of financial transactions and such other aspects from 4B Networks and its current management, which 4B Networks is contractually obligated to give, InfoEdge said in a filing with the stock exchanges. However, as 4B Networks has repeatedly failed to provide AIPL with such information, as a consequence, AIPL has appointed Deloitte as the forensic auditor. InfoEdge told us, and I quote, "We have been advised by our legal counsel to refrain from engaging with the media until the ongoing forensic investigation is completed. We understand the importance of transparency and will provide updates as soon as we are able to do so," end of quote. Now, remember, Rahul Yadav did not respond to our queries. Founded in 2020, 4B Networks is a matchmaking platform that connects brokers with properties and buyers. By June 2022, 4B Networks claimed to have 50,000 brokers. The platform also said it had facilitated 1,000 crore rupee worth of home loans. By then, it had 500 employees with Yadav serving as the CEO. But exactly a year later, InfoEdge has marked the company down to zero. Now, this surely brings back some uncomfortable memories for Rahul Yadav, who had a tumultuous stint with Housing.com in 2015. In a series of events which had captivated the startup world, Yadav was eventually fired from the company. Housing was sold off to Prop Tiger and has since been meandering along as one of the country's many real estate platforms. It remains to be seen what the financial audit will uncover, but it appears that Rahul Yadav's second entrepreneurial stint is imploding even more spectacularly than his first. Back to you.
Shruti, many thanks for joining us. Can't understand how this can happen again. Time for us to head to a break, but when we return, depleted groundwater levels in drought-prone villages make the Jal Jeevan mission an uphill task. A special report when we return.
नई कार तुमने कार इंश्योरेंस खरीदा होगा एगो ऐप से नहीं आपको नहीं तो कोई बात नहीं मूर्ति गलतियां होती रहती हैं कोई जरूरत नहीं है चेक करने
नई कार खरीदने से पहले एको चेक करें और 36,000 तक बचाएं।
What if buildings could tell you how they could be more efficient?
I'm listening.
Well, with IBM, you can use software to help you connect and analyze data from heating and cooling to elevators to lights.
What if we use AI-driven insights to pinpoint inefficiency?
Yep, and act on it. Saving energy, money.
And emissions.
Yep, that's a big one. Now you've built something better for everyone. That's the sustainability solution IBM and a global real estate company created. What will you create? IBM. Let's create.
The Law Commission of India, in its report, has recommended retaining the colonial-era sedition law to safeguard the unity and integrity of India. However, it has proposed some key amendments, including extending the maximum jail term from 3 to 7 years and changing the definition of sedition. Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal has said the Commission's recommendations are not binding and a final decision will be taken after consultation with stakeholders. The Law Commission, in its report, has said that the Home Ministry referred the issue to the Commission in 2016. Abhimanyu standing by to explain the recommendations that have been proposed by the Law Commission. Abhi.
The Law Commission of India has recommended retention of the sedition law, that is section 124A of the Indian Penal Code, with a few tweaks. It has said that the centre should come up with a set of model guidelines to ensure no misuse of the law, as well as bring in more clarity with respect to the usage and application of the law. However, it has said that the maximum period of imprisonment under the sedition law should be increased from the current period of 3 years to 7 years. It has also said that several procedural safeguards should be built in to ensure that there is no misuse of the law. Earlier, the top court had asked states as well as the centre to ensure that no further cases are filed under section 124A of the IPC, while the union government had submitted that it was considering revoking section 124A. And now with the fresh recommendation which has been made by the Law Commission to the Law Minister, it remains to be seen what further submissions will be given by the centre before the top court, based on which any further action will be initiated either by the Supreme Court or the union government.
Abhimanyu, many thanks. Now, 2 FIRs filed against Wrestling Federation Chief Brij Bhushan Singh detailed at least 10 incidents of alleged molestation, 15 incidents of sexual harassment and 2 instances of demanding sexual favours to support the careers of athletes. The FIRs were filed by the Delhi police on the 28th of April after a direction from the Supreme Court. However, Brij Bhushan Singh, who is also a BJP MP, is yet to be arrested. India's top wrestlers have been protesting, demanding his arrest for over a month now. Shivani Bajaj joins us with the details. Shivani, take us through what the FIRs state.
Well, exactly. The Delhi police has filed 2 FIRs against Wrestling Federation Chief and BJP MP Brij Bhushan Singh based on the complaints of 8 wrestlers. The FIRs list out more than 15 alleged instances of sexual harassment, and that also reveals that the alleged instances took place in India and overseas between 2012 and 22. The complainants include Olympian Sakshi Malik, Commonwealth Game champion Vinesh Fogart, and a minor who's now 17. The wrestlers have accused Singh of groping them, inappropriately touching them on the pretext of checking their breath, or while pretending to get pictures clicked, asking for sexual favours or facing repercussions in upcoming trials and games, etc. In some cases, the wrestlers have also alleged that Singh tried offering them supplements in return of sexual favours. One of the wrestlers has also said that Singh stalked her and called her mother repeatedly to put pressure on her. The minor's complaint filed by her father alleges that the daughter was completely disturbed and cannot be at peace anymore. Among the many allegations recorded by the FIR, the minor wrestler has alleged that Brij Bhushan Singh held her tightly, pretending to get a picture clicked. The accused squeezed her towards himself, pressed hard on her shoulder, and then deliberately brushed his hands against her breast. The minor has alleged that Singh also tried to intimidate her. In one instance recorded in the FIR, Singh allegedly told the minor that since she's not cooperating with him, she will face the repercussions in the upcoming Asian Championship trials. 2 wrestlers have alleged that Singh called them in his room while they were in various tournaments and harassed them. The wrestlers also allege that they were punished when they revolted. In 2 such instances, the wrestlers have said that their names were dropped from trial list and notices were issued against them.
Shivani, many thanks for joining us. Pharma leaders who are backing wrestlers have warned that they will march to Jantar Mantar on the 9th of June and hold panchayats across the country if Brij Bhushan Singh is not arrested by then. Pharma leader Rakesh Tikait said the cases against the wrestlers should be withdrawn as well. Meanwhile, legendary cricketers Kapil Dev, Sunil Gavaskar, along with BCCI President Roger Binney and other members of the 1983 Cricket World Cup winning team have issued a statement on the wrestlers' protest. The statement says, and I quote, "They are distressed and disturbed at the visuals of champion wrestlers being manhandled." The veteran cricketers wrote that they are concerned that wrestlers are thinking of dumping their hard-earned medals into River Ganga. The statement has urged the wrestlers not to take any hasty decisions while hoping that their grievances are heard and resolved quickly. So a statement unanimously issued by the 1983 winning World Cup cricket team. With 45% of India's households yet to get access to running water, the government is on overdrive to achieve its targets under the Jal Jeevan mission by the end of 2024. But connections will be meaningless if these households have no groundwater to draw upon. Cecilia K. and Arundhati Ramanan report that ensuring this needs behavioural change and some heavy lifting to recharge groundwater levels.
This is Chandrapur village, some 140 kilometers from Mumbai. Like many villages in this region, Chandrapur is prone to drought, especially during April and May when summer is at its peak. The situation is often dire, with many villagers who depend on farming for their livelihoods staring at failed crops and a struggle for survival.
If we get enough water for agriculture, then we do not have to look for livelihood alternatives. The water supply I have does not work regularly.
The government's Jal Jeevan mission targets this very problem. It aims to provide every household in India with a running water connection by August 2024. But the mission is not complete. Sakaram says that despite now having a tap connection, these taps often run dry. He is not alone. Government data shows that while 11.5 crore households across 5.75 lakh villages now have tap water connections, only 33% of India's villages have access to functional tap connections. A fully functional tap water connection is defined as one that delivers at least 55 litres of water per person per day through the year. In the meantime, NGOs and community upliftment organizations have pitched in to build water tanks and introduce measures to replenish groundwater levels. But the government is also working on more effective completion. It has ramped up financial support to water conservation and supply schemes, and funds released to states have jumped fourfold since 2019.
This is a watershed year in terms of public investment for the water supply and sanitation and hygiene in India. No country has so far invested so much of money, government-owned funding for to ensure improved water supply and sanitation to the rural population as well as urban population.
But experts say conserving and replenishing groundwater reserves will be key.
Being the groundwater is the source, we need to work really on the source protection and source strengthening of the groundwater so that that functionality part is very critical.
That's where not-for-profit organizations like the Ra Foundation come in. The organization has been working with villages and tribal areas in Maharashtra's Jauhar and Mokhada regions and wants to give water security to at least 150 villages by 2030.
We want to then focus on improvement of source and on the demand management to kind of create that entire holistic end-to-end situation where water never, the tap never runs dry.
The problem is not lost on the government. Under the Atal Bhujal Yojana program, it has conducted training sessions at 8,353 water-stressed Gram Panchayats in Haryana, Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. The aim is to ensure that the Jal Jeevan mission does not become a meaningless exercise where there are taps in every household but very few that deliver water. In Mumbai with Cecilia K, Arundhati Ramanan.
And that's it then on this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday. Take care.